Welcome to Sips for Change. I'm Martine, and as always, I'm here with my incredible co host and fellow sustainability enthusiast.
Hi, everyone. I am Tammy, and wow, are we excited about today's episode?
Yes, as you may remember from our GDS Index episode, we mentioned that we're launching a new series, the GDS Destination Series. For those tuning in for the first time, we're diving into the destinations that are absolutely crushing it on the Global Destination Sustainability Index.
Our first stop in this journey was Helsinki, which took first place last year from the city we're about to visit today. And if you missed that episode, it's linked below. This next city we're about to discuss has been the number one destination on the GDS index 7 times between 2016 and 2023. 7 times, people.
And even though Helsinki snatched the top spot, which by the way, congratulations, Helsinki, Gothenburg is sitting securely at number two. And honestly, they're still teaching the world how it's done. I'm very, very impressed.
I cannot wait to share this with everyone. So let's explore Gothenburg and why it's not just sustainable, but also on the verge of being revolutionary. Let's start with the infrastructure that makes Gothenburg unique. Martine, why don't you walk us through some of the numbers?
With pleasure. Over 88% of Gothenburg's hotels are sustainability certified, and 86% of major meeting venues are also sustainability certified. The public transport system operates on 95% renewable energy, and even Landvetter Airport is one of the world's most sustainable airports and has held the highest European airport carbon accreditation since 2011.
What's also particularly impressive is that this destination is so compact and the venues and hotels and restaurants are all within walking or cycling distance of each other. It's not just convenient, it fundamentally changes the carbon footprint of your events.
That's a crucial point. When we think about event emissions, transportation often represents the largest contributor. Gothenburg's urban planning essentially eliminates much of the local transport related emissions that plague events in more spread out destinations.
And this creates what's called a multiplier effect. When your basic infrastructure supports sustainable choices, every event automatically becomes more sustainable without additional effort from the organizers.
And that's amazing. You can clearly tell they've thought this through.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Martine, tell everyone what the big project they have in the works.
Would love to. It's Gothenburg's most ambitious initiative called the Emissions Free Events Project. It is led by Gothenburg and Company and involves collaboration with Vinnova, RISE, West Sweden Tourist Board, Business Region Gothenburg, Got Event, and Gothenburg City Leasing.
What makes this project particularly valuable for our industry is that it's not just theoretical. They're making systematic approaches to scientifically test what works, measuring the impact, and then sharing those proven solutions with the broader industry.
They're using this project to create practical toolkits and frameworks that even organizers can actually use. So instead of telling people, host events more locally and cut down on transportation, they can almost say, if you host an event at X location, you can use these public transportation options and reduce your footprint by X carbon tones, which actually helps even professionals build better business cases for their stakeholders.
A great example of this in action is when Coldplay performed at the Ullevi Stadium in 2023. Gothenburg used this as a testing ground for reducing emissions across transportation, logistics, food, and accommodation. They got super creative with solving their traffic problem. Fans driving in from the south were offered free parking in nearby locations to the stadium with complimentary public transportation to the stadium, which significantly cut down on traffic and emissions right at the venue.
And this is amazing because it offers tangible resources and case studies for event managers, almost like a treasure trove of tested strategies. The key here is their focus on measurable impact as well as their collaboration with various partners on the execution.
It's also a good example of how many destinations have dedicated sustainability advisors in different departments who can help you implement these research-backed strategies, regardless of where you're hosting your event. Like, come on, how often do you hear of a tourism board partnering with a leasing company?
It's true, Tammy. Having so many different organizations leading this project shows the city's commitment to this effort.
Now, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in sustainability discussions: social sustainability. International exchange and cultural diversity have always been a part of the Gothenburg DNA. The European Commission named Gothenburg as one of the European Capitals of Inclusion and Diversity's Award winners in April 2022. The award is one of the EU Anti-Racism Action Plan deliverables and the LGBTIQ equality strategy for 2020 through 2025.
This framework is fascinating because it focuses on measuring long-term community impact, not just immediate event metrics, which makes sense that they received the European Access City Award for its strategic and structured work toward a city accessible for all.
As an example, they're working on their European City Versus project, where they're creating an AI-powered digital twin of their city that helps residents, particularly those in underserved neighborhoods, plan visits, navigate destinations using their smartphones. What makes this special is that it's specifically designed to help families dealing with disabilities, age-related challenges, anxiety, and language barriers.
I really love that. It's really an innovative way to leverage technology.
Right? Their focus on accessibility and inclusion also extends into their event goals by breaking down the usual barriers that keep people from attending events, whether that's cost, location, or accessibility issues. They're focusing on several strategies, one which actively initiates events in vulnerable areas to bring life and development to these neighborhoods. They work closely with local residents, cultural groups, and community organizations to create collaborative events that reflect what the community really wants.
Right. Another strategy they're using is shifting the concentration of everything from the city center and using the entire city at their venue to help spread the economic and social benefits across all districts.
They're even creating year-round programming to keep all neighborhoods active and engaged throughout the year, and not just during the summertime.
Right. Their goal is simple but powerful to create more engagement, safer streets, better well-being, and a real sense of belonging for everyone, which from the looks of their global rankings, things seem to be paying off. They're ranked number one out of 174 countries in the prosperity and equality category on the Good Country Index and third in the health and well-being category.
As we've mentioned from time and time again, from a business perspective, inclusive communities typically see a higher event attendance rates, better participation satisfaction scores, and stronger long-term community support for future events.
For those who are interested in now putting that theory to the test by hosting events in Gothenburg, let's talk through some of the tools you can leverage to help you execute those events.
The biggest resource is probably the Environmental Event Certificate, based on ISO 14001 for environmental management systems, or EMS, and the EMAS, which is the Eco Management and Audit Scheme standards. ISO 14001's main goal is to reduce environmental impacts, improve sustainability, and help organizations comply with environmental laws.
Any organizations can use it to plan, measure, and continuously improve its environmental performance by tracking things like energy use, waste, and pollution. EMAS is a European Union standard for environmental management and auditing. While similar to ISO 14001, EMAS asks for even more transparency. Organizations must evaluate, manage, and continually improve their environmental impact, plus publications of regular reports about their progress.
This environmental event certification system has since become Sweden's national standard for sustainable events and meetings, managed by I can't pronounce this, but I'm sorry, the Swedish environmental base. What started as a local Gothenburg initiative now has national credibility and recognition across Sweden. For more details, check out the SUSA website we included below.
As part of the Free Emissions Events project, Gothenburg has also developed comprehensive venue databases that include details like sustainability specifications, accessibility information, and capacity details. This really eliminates much of the time-consuming research that even planners typically have to do.
What's particularly valuable is their consulting services. They provide direct support on eco-friendly logistics, sustainable catering options, and low carbon transport solutions. This isn't generic advice, it's destination specific and actual guidance.
They're doing everything they can to make things super easy for visitors and even organizations, especially since they're targeting 3.3 million guest nights in commercial accommodation outside peak season by 2026. And so far, they're on track to achieve this goal.
They've already documented measurable year-over-year reductions in event waste and carbon emissions. Some interesting numbers. Gothenburg's residents produce just 4.3 tons of CO2 emissions per person annually. That's nearly half the EU average of 8.4 tons. Even more impressive, they're targeting a 7.6 reduction each year in consumption-based emissions, aiming to get down to just 3.3 tons per person by 2030.
It's very incredible. They've invested so much into the city infrastructure, which makes sense why they've launched their emissions-free event project to extend this reduction into their events and tourism industry as well.
But here's what's valuable for everyone. Gothenburg's frameworks are adaptable. If you choose Gothenburg as a destination, great. If not, then embrace Gothenburg's collaborative stakeholder engagement model by seeking out the community resources in the particular destination that you're going to. Request
Mm.
information about sustainable event options in that location that can help you build your sustainable event strategy, which can include everything that we talked about today, such as certified venues, selecting off-peak calendar seasons, and using carbon estimation calculators.
Right. Remember, you shouldn't look at this as additional cost. All of these resources are geared to help you build a case for your stakeholders that their investments in attendee satisfaction, community relations, and long-term event sustainability.
Sustainable inclusive event practices create more resilient businesses, stronger community relationships, and more memorable experiences for the attendees.
These frameworks and strategies we've discussed today represent the future of the events and tourism industry. Destinations like Gothenburg are showing us what's possible when we integrate sustainability and inclusion from the ground up, but these principles work everywhere.
Speaking of the future, we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us what's one of Gothenburg's inspired change you're going to implement in your next event.
And if you're already doing amazing sustainability work in your events, tag us. We love celebrating the incredible work our community is doing.
Before we sign off, know that our next journey in the series brings us to Copenhagen. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss it. And as always, remember every event is an opportunity to make a positive impact.
Until next time, keep making conscious choices one sip at a time.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.